Look at these two lines. Which one do you think is longer? Well, this one looks longer, right? But they're actually the same length. This is an optical illusion, a little trick that reminds us that how we perceive things and how they actually are can be two different things. And sometimes life is all about perspective, which is an idea explored in the Dreamland puzzle game Superliminal.
Of course, nothing is more challenging than the difficulty of changing perspective.
Emergency exit protocol has been emergency destroyed. This concludes your standard orientation protocol. Goodbye.
Superliminal is a puzzle game that uses forced perspective and optical illusions to make you think outside the box. Objects change size as you pick them up and put them down, depending on your perspective. For example, things closer to the camera look bigger. This cup isn't actually as big as my head.
Oh, the table.
This makes for some extremely delightful puzzling that feels novel and slightly unpredictable.
Line it up.
There's something very satisfying about making things big.
I am going to make large cheese here today. Cheese so large!
It's an impressive gameplay mechanic, and unlike anything I've seen before. There's a great Alice in Wonderland feel as you move into bigger and smaller spaces, and it feels surprisingly consistent.
If this is not the case, you may be receiving this message in error.
Sometimes games can have super clever ideas, but making them work smoothly and be fun can be super duper hard. And a good idea is no good if you can't execute it right. But Superliminal hits the mark. Things largely work as you'd expect them to, although I did find it a little tricky to get things the size I wanted or place them properly. Which makes sense because you're playing with perspective in a way you normally wouldn't, so it takes a second to wrap your head around. But I never got too stuck, it was just a bit fiddly. Sometimes that fiddling around is the hardest part of the game. The puzzles themselves aren't too challenging, but they're satisfying while keeping the flow of the game moving. And there's a pretty interesting story too. You play as a participant in Dr. Pierce's Somnosculpt Dream Therapy program, a place where your dreams are manipulated and studied. While you're asleep, you get stuck, falling deeper and deeper into the dream cycle. You're then guided by the voice of Dr. Pierce to try and wake yourself up.
Please continue to do whatever you did most recently, and discontinue whatever you were doing immediately prior to that.
It gets a little confusing at times and really philosophical towards the end. But even if you don't understand all of it, you can get the broad strokes, and it adds a nice sense of meaning to the game. Plus, the environment is used in really cool ways to tell the story. You break past the movie set type world that Somnosculpt has built for your dream therapy and start wandering behind the scenes. This feels freeing and exciting, like you're doing something cheeky, and it adds weight to the sense of being stuck somewhere that you really shouldn't be in your own dream, which makes things feel more out of control when they start to go wrong. A dark hallway becomes terrifying when you have the strong sense that you're really not supposed to be there. Now, tiny sort of spoiler. I will say nothing bad happens in the game. There's no enemies or anything dangerous, but it gets pretty spooky. Mostly dark hallways and red paint, but I'm a big wuss and I was terrified.
Boatmeal. Sorry, Boatmeal knocked my chair. Oh, the music's back. I feel so much more at ease.
But the scares don't last too long, and before you know it, you're back to giant fruit and jumping castles. And the game has some moments of true delight. I can't remember another game in recent times that's given me this feeling.
Can I grab the moon?
Ah! It's super playful to just try things and explore the possibilities in this world.
Maybe if I fill the room with apples.
The sense of anticipation at the next unexpected twist is captivating and exciting. The game isn't very long, only about 2 hours, but it is wonderfully unique. Superliminal reminds me of some of my favorite games ever, delivering thoughtful puzzles through novel and fascinating gameplay. The only thing I didn't love is I felt I saw too much of the same environments. But in the end, I love the mechanic, and it left me wanting more. I'm giving Superliminal 4.5 out of 5 rubber chickens.